Everyone, welcome to Find the Intersection. My name is Paul Dezay. It's good to be with you. Today is Ash Wednesday. Today is the beginning of Lent. And so we begin the journey today, the 40 days towards Good Friday, the journey towards resurrection, towards Easter. So today we look in the Old Testament for a passage of scripture, Genesis chapter 9, verses 8 to 17. We're there today as we're preparing for the first Sunday of Lent, which is this coming Sunday. So the way this works, if you're new to Find the Intersection, on Monday we read a gospel passage, on Tuesday a New Testament passage, on Wednesday an Old Testament passage. That's where we're at today. And then Thursday a psalm, and then Friday we find the themes, the intersections, the threads that run through the four passages as we prepare ourselves for Sunday. And the sermon and the songs and the whole service are inspired by these passages in the intersection. So that's where we're at today. So Genesis chapter 9, verses 8 to 17 is the story about the flood. In fact, what it takes place right after the flood. So let me move this and put this up here. So this is the chart we use. And so you can see today we're in the bottom left-hand corner, Genesis chapter 9, verses 8 to 17. And the way this works on my chart, you can, over here, you can see I jot down my notes in those boxes, just the things that stick out to me. You can follow the questions on the bottom just to have some structure. I just jot down the things that jump out to me. So that's where we are. Monday we were in the upper left hand corner, the gospel passage. Tuesday, which was yesterday, we were in 1 Peter, and then tomorrow the psalm, and then on Friday the center point, the intersections, and that's where we write down the themes for the week. All right, so this particular passage takes place after the flood, and God makes a covenant with Noah and Noah's family, and it's a covenant not to destroy the earth. In the beginning of that chapter, before our passage, it talked about being fruitful and multiplying, which is a renewal of the command given to Adam and Eve in the beginning, be fruitful and multiply. In other words, the idea of the Garden of Eden filling the earth, the glory of the Lord filling the earth. But so the flood is like a cleansing. It's like a renewing of creation. It's almost like a new creation. And so God is saying, be fruitful and multiply. And Noah is the new Adam, right? Noah and his family are the new Adam and Eve and family. And so what we see here is God making a covenant. And the covenant is this kind of one-sided deal where God says, I'm going to make a sacred promise to you that I'm not going to destroy the earth anymore. And so he destroyed the earth from the idea of the flood. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the flood was probably not filling the entire earth, but it was geographical flood in that particular area, and pretty much all the ancient Near East nations documented this particular flood as something that existed. It's a real thing. It happened. And this particular faith, the people of the follow Yahweh, are sharing their interpretation of the flood story, which is so much different than all the other flood stories. And it's remarkable how this God is a God of peace, and this particular covenant is a reminder of that. And so God gives let me back up. Covenant is, God initiates the covenant, and it's for all people. It's for Noah and his family. It's all the animals and all the descendants. So it's all humanity, everyone who goes in the earth, that God is not going to destroy. And so the sign of the covenant, this is my second idea here, is the bow, the rainbow. Now in Hebrew there is no word for rainbow. It's literally a bow, like in bow and arrow. And so what we see here is God hanging a bow in the air, hanging it up as a sign for all to see. In other words, God is hanging up the bow. He's not going to use it anymore. The flood was a demonstration of God using the bow and arrow to destroy. And so this sign of this covenant is God is not going to destroy the earth anymore. So he gives us a sign of him hanging his bow in the air, saying that he's not going to destroy. It's a reminder to God. So when God sees the bow, it's a reminder to him that he's not going to destroy it anymore. Now, why does God need a reminder? But that word reminder, remember, in Hebrew is different than the way we use it in English. It's like we remember because we have forgetfulness. In ancient Near East, a reminder is a reminder to act. And so this case, it's a reminder not to act. So God is reminding us and reminding himself that he is not going to destroy, not because he's forgetful. It's a sign of the promise. It's a sign of the covenant. God has changed. He's not going to destroy. God's not going to use the tools of war anymore. Yeah. And it's a reminder to us, too. It's a reminder to us that God is not that type of God. God is not a God of war. Not like Ares of the Greek mythology. God is a God of peace. He's the Prince of Peace. And when we look at Jesus, that's who we see. We do not see a God of war. And so this covenant is made to Noah and all descendants, to you and I, to remind us that God is not going to destroy. That's not who this God is. So that's what I got out of the passage. What did you get as we begin this Lenten journey towards the cross and the empty tomb? What did you get out of this passage? If you share your thoughts in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about Psalm 25. Guys, hope you have an amazing Ash Wednesday. Grace and peace. Take care.